In today's episode, we have a special guest, Charlie Stover, who was a formerly undocumented Mexican-American turned stockbroker, also happens to be our first trans guest, and we are going to talk about their journey from being undocumented to being a stockbroker and everything in between that has led them to live the life that they currently are, helping people in their money coaching program while traveling internationally, healing from all sorts of different traumas, and living their very best life. If that's of interest, we hope you'll stay tuned.
Sugar Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money flow.
Hey, babe. What are we talking about today?
Everything. Today, we are going to talk about all the things. We have a very special guest with us who is currently sitting in Italy because they are traveling all over the world, which we're going to get into, living their very best life. And Charlie, who's joining us today, is a fellow podcast host, former stockbroker. There's just so much that we're going to get into. This conversation is going to go in all the directions. So I can't even tell you because it's everything. And I'm so excited. What won't we talk about? Charlie, thank you for being with us on the Sugar Daddy Podcast today. We're so happy to have you.
Me too. Thank you for having me. As I said, I'm a podcast host, but it's really nice to be able to be a guest on a podcast sometimes. So thank you.
Absolutely. We feel the same way. It's good to do a little, trading of the podcast spots. So let's get into Charlie's bio so everybody knows who we're talking to today, and then we'll get into your first money memory, Charlie. Charlie Stover, pronouns they, he, Poppy, is a non-binary Latinx money coach, speaker, and host of the Unicorn Millionaire podcast. They're helping LGBTQ and BIPOC and first gens make $10K in passive income a year so they can twerk their way to early retirement. Yes, honey. They're a formerly undocumented Mexican-American and ex-stockbroker who has traveled solo to 34 countries. Is the 34 countries up to date? I feel like it's not because you're currently in Italy.
36 now.
36.
Ireland and Northern Ireland. I forgot how easy it is to add them up when you're in Europe because everything's within walking distance.
I love it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We start all of our guest conversations with understanding a little bit about your money history. So we'd love to get into your first money memory before we really get into the conversation.
So I grew up undocumented. I was born in Morelia, Michoacan, Mexico. And then at age 3, we emigrated and overstayed our visas and moved to rural Washington State in the bumfuck nowhere, middle of nothing. And the first money memory I have was my dad asking me to lend him money that he had given me when I was like 5 years old. This was maybe like $5, $10, $20. But from that moment on, I associated money with uncertainty and fear. And oh my God, if this is something that scares the adults, I should be scared about this too. And in order for me to protect my family and do my job, because when you're first gen, you're always parentified. You become the 20-year-old when you're fucking 5 years old. So I was like, I'm going to be the saver in my family and take care of everyone. Meanwhile, my brother was the spender, always buying things and computers and everything. So I say that to mention how drastically different your money habits can be established even from your freaking siblings. It is wild. So ever since then, I've been very good with my money and budgeting and saving. But then I realized you can't budget or save your way to true early retirement. You have to invest your money and increase your income.
When he asked you for the money he gave you back?
I was like 5. I was a child. Yeah.
I was going to say you were going to say something. I saw your face.
No, I just think it's so kind of like how you just mentioned. It's very interesting how Jess and I had saw something not too long ago where you can have siblings that are raised in the same house, but you don't experience your parents the same. No matter how much a parent maybe tries to be equal and parent every child the same, no one's going to experience the same parent because one, different ages and, just different personalities of how you interact with your children. So like you said, it's very interesting how you can have quote unquote the same scenario in a household, but kids take it differently.
Mm-hmm. And gender roles, obviously, too. The women are encouraged to, or people like
Yes,
me,
yes,
assigned female at birth, or assigned
correct.
like the task of taking care of the rest, while the men can go and make mistakes, invest in things, and try and fall flat on their faces. So gender roles definitely tie into that as well.
Especially can be exasperated depending on cultural, different cultures as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you you all overstayed your visa. What is that? I mean, like, did your parents just not refile the paperwork, and then did you know this at the time? I mean, you're so young. Like, do you know, hey, we're not supposed to be here anymore? What's that like?
I remember it was 1994 and The Lion King was in theaters. So
Yes.
I just wanted to see The Lion King. It was the golden era. Honestly, the best Disney movies came out from the time I was born in like 1990 till 1995. Pocahontas, Mulan, Tarzan, that's when it started falling off, in my opinion. But yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't understand that we weren't supposed to be here. I was like, why the fuck are we here? Was the thing. My grandma told me that when you were 5, Charlie, you were like, Mom, why the fuck are we here? This is nice, but why can't we go back to Mexico? Because all our family is
Oh.
there. Like, this is ghetto, kind of.
It's ghetto here.
But my dad had worked legally in the US a long time ago. And so he had a social security number, but it had expired. But he used that as a way to like get the visa approval and all these other things too. I don't remember how it works, but he was just like, yeah, I've just been using the social that expired. Um, and we overstayed and stuff. And then it came to the point of, okay, it's time to go see our family because we don't have any family here. Why can't we go back? And then my mom's dad died, and we were about to go back. And with the fear of not being able to return since we'd overstayed, it's obviously easier to go back to Mexico through the Tijuana border. They don't really check anything. It was wild. I went through the border for the first time a year ago or so, and it was wild that they don't give a fuck. But on the way back, they sure do to the States. But then, yeah, my grandpa died, and we ended up deciding not to go at all to the funeral. And my mom was young; she was in her early 20s. She had me when she was 21. She was in her early 20s, so I can't imagine the trauma of not being able to go to your dad's funeral, who you cared about, who was a big part of your life, because you just were afraid of coming back, of not being able to come back. So that's when a couple, yeah, well into childhood, my parents would be like, just lie and tell people you were born in Los Angeles. But then when I kept prodding and asking questions, my dad was like, here's the deal, we're not supposed to be here. And I was like, this is fucked up. We are doing something wrong. And he was like, no, 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 we're fine. We're fine. So yeah, that's how I grew up with this. Like, wait, we're supposed to be good people, yet we're kind of breaking the law by being here. And I say that because we were not coming to the US for a better life because we were being persecuted to make more money. My dad was from a middle class white Mexican background full of privilege. So he just came to the US because he wanted to, because he felt like it. It's different if you're like immigrating illegally because you're fighting for your life, or you want to be able to send money back home to your home country because your home country was fucked over by the CIA and the US that made this all happen in the first place. But that was not the case for us. We were privileged immigrants, and my last name was Johnson. Now it's Johnson Stover. But I mentioned that because we didn't do this out of necessity. We just did it because my dad felt like it. So that's like a huge caveat to my journey of growing up undocumented too.
And how long did you remain undocumented?
Until I was 14, when my mom kept being like to my dad, like, your kids need to get a job. They need to go to college. They need a social. And my dad was like, no, they don't. Because my dad was used to his dad sending us money, but very randomly. There was like definitely a legacy of financial manipulation within the family, too, of him wanting distance. As an autistic person, very neurodivergent, it's very important for us to have our own autonomy and not be perceived and not have to explain ourselves. So I get that now. It took me years to understand like why the fuck we moved to the middle of nowhere. It was for that. But I remember my grandpa randomly visiting us and him handing money to my dad, like in front of us, and handing me money. But eating beans and rice growing up really poor, but sometimes being able to have a vacation sponsored by grandpa that would send us to like New York or Las Vegas 3 times by the time I turned 15, or to go to Hawaii as long as we could stay in the States. It was it was wild. The My money story was it was wild, y'all. A lot of contrast. So I forgot your last question.
Well,
No, this is great.
no, it was just the part of like you said you remained undocumented until 14, and what was that
Yeah.
process at that age?
So my mom married my next door neighbor, and my dad just like abandoned us and jumped ship
Jeez.
and moved back to Mexico to live with his dad, rent free. And yeah, my mom married my stepdad, who was a Trump supporter and an alcoholic. So it went from a lot of dysfunction to more dysfunction. So in high school, I was a straight A student. I was like, I need to get the good grades and all the extracurriculars to get the fuck out of this. And I did. I got a full ride scholarship, basically, heavy financially, to study across the country at Wellesley College in Boston, which was a women's college where it was cheaper for me to go there than to stay in state at any public school. So a lot of shitty things happened to me, but a lot of lucky things. Like the universe would conspire in my favor a lot of moments throughout my life, and it continues to. Like as somebody who's trans, who's queer, who's estranged from family, I don't have anybody supporting me, which is why I'm so on top of my finances. I can't just like when COVID hit, I couldn't just move home with the parents to save money on rent. And as a business owner, there's a toxic rhetoric of like, oh, if you really care about your business, you'll just move home with your parents so you can save money. But it's like, that's not the case, especially for queer people. And in the Latinx community and a lot of communities, you can be gay, but you can't be trans. Like I was out as queer, but once I came out as trans, that was not okay too. So there's different layers of it. So that's why I'm really on top of my finances, and I help others do the same.
I think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I think there's a good number of people that forget that not everyone has that support system at home. You know, for example, like with us, like if something, we're allowed to take, you know, these chances and stuff where if it didn't work out and we needed help, we needed money, we needed some place to go from a housing standpoint, we have family and they will take care of us. They will help out. And a lot of people don't have that. And it's baffling to me that people don't understand that a lot of people don't have that support.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Are you estranged because your mom married a Trump supporter and you're like, I don't need that in my life? Or did your mom say you got to go and just stop contact? Like, what's the situation?
So she divorced that Trump supporter, and then she started dating another Trump supporter. Because in the town
So we have
that I
a
grew up
type.
in,
Okay, we have a type.
yeah, there's like it's rural Washington State, which is not liberal at all. As soon
Hmm.
as you cross the Cascade Mountains, it's like Texas, y'all. It is dry
Uh,
desert, sagebrush, red. Republicans, like I didn't come
Yeah,
out
we
till I got out. Like I went to dances
mm.
with Mormon boys. Like religious diversity there was like, what kind of Christian are you? Are you Catholic or are you Mormon?
Wow.
So,
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, we've only been like the Seattle area.
Right.
yeah, I went to Seattle for the first time to live for months at a time to see what the cooler side of Washington was like, and it was definitely worth it. But the rent is ghetto. I was pet sitting full time to not pay money on rent, but I was still spending more money to just
It's so
exist
expensive.
there than I was out here, kind of in Europe, paying for Airbnbs. It's wild how expensive Seattle's gotten.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into you were a stockbroker. How do we go from I left home, I got a full scholarship, I knew I needed to be able to support myself down the line, to I became a stockbroker? What is that trajectory?
I didn't study finance at all in college. I just wanted to be a social studies teacher. I love history. Like I'm autistic and I love memorizing random facts and dates. I love that shit. But no one wants
You
social
and
studies
Brandon could have
teachers.
an offline
Yes.
conversation
I
about
love, I love, I
that.
love history.
Yes.
I love encyclopedias and books with just like random facts, especially if they're chronologically in order. That's like porn for me. But in my 20s, I was like, I want to make a difference. I want to save the world and I don't want to sell out. I don't need money because I've made it so far without money because I was on financial aid and stuff and I've scooted by. And I grew up poor, so I didn't need that. What? So I did the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, a lot of educational contract jobs that were exploitative and underpaid me. I was on food stamps throughout my 20s. And then by the time my late 20s hit, I found myself in DC trying to get a cushy government job after Peace Corps, like most Peace Corps volunteers do. But it was the hiring freeze because Trump had gotten elected when I moved to DC. And so I could not get a job. So I ended up being a bicycle tour guide on the National Mall and doing lots of side hustles, blogging, pet sitting. And I was like, I can do this now. But I got my top surgery in DC, and I still remember I needed the money so badly, and I didn't want to be in debt or fall backward. That even post top surgery, when I was still healing, I would walk the dogs and I wouldn't hold them on the leash, but I would tie the leash around my waist, which is not something you should do. You should recover for a full month. And I remember people sending me money for the meal train to order food for me to go or for delivery. But I was in such scarcity mode that I still cooked like all my meals and used that money to pay the rent and necessities. Um, and I was like, this is not sustainable. I don't want 65-year-old me to suffer like this. And that's when I got it together. And I decided to hit up a friend who helped me start investing in the first place and showed me a chart of the stock market. And that's all it took. She was like, you don't need to be making a lot of money. Because at the time, I'd never made more than 30K. But she's like, as long as you just start now, this is how much you're losing out on. And she helped me max out my Roth IRA. So it helped me just understand, like, oh, as somebody low income, as long as I put 7K in a year, I'll be fine. And then I was like, you've changed my life so much that I want to have your job. And so she said, you can come work at Charles Schwab, where we will pay you to take your licenses and your exams, and you'll make 45K. And as somebody under like getting underpaid, I was like, oh, I can buy a sports car with that.
Which even 45K, you think, hey, stockbroker, you think that they're, making
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands on Wall Street,
No, it was boring as fuck. I'm sitting in a call center in fucking Indianapolis, like making
Oh.
password reset calls half the time. It was not glamorous. I hated it, but I learned so much about how the stock market actually works and that you don't need to be a fucking day trader. I just saw so many casual millionaire accounts, and I just saw them doing the same thing, self-managing everything, open up their IRAs, prioritizing the retirement accounts, and then making the brokerage accounts their side bitches. Oh, if they need like money for a down payment on a house, boom, sell some stock. They weren't making it this whole thing about themselves because they were rich white men. Like they didn't have to do the money healing and shit and money trauma. Like they'd
Yeah.
inherited these ways of just treating money like their bitch. And I was like, oh, I see how this works. And then yeah, I quit my job after COVID hit like a badass and that 45K salary, but I saved enough to just move to Mexico and get a full ride to my MBA program. And then that's when I started my business, and I've been doing it full time for 5 years now.
What is your business, Charlie?
I'm a money coach. I thought I didn't know what we said in the intro. Like you said, we're going to talk about everything. So I thought we
We're
talked about
listen.
that.
Yeah, no. Only in our heads, but not out loud yet.
Yeah, I'm a money coach for six-figure earners, and I attract people who are LGBT, BIPOC, hella neurospicy people. I attract hella people with, especially with ADHD and ADD, because I'm like the autistic side where I'm neurodivergent, but I can call them out on things they might not be seeing, and I help to gamify finances and make it a lot less scary, which is what everybody needs. No wonder if you're neurodivergent or not. But yeah, I help my clients get on track to making 30K plus in passive income a year through savings, investments, leveling up their credit card game. Because a lot of them are making six figures and they need to get their asses to the airport lounge, but they're still using their fucking debit cards. Or
Oh,
like
the
y'all have
debit
talked about
cards.
saving cash in Venmo. And I'm like, no, not
No.
We're
cute.
not doing that. No,
Not
Venmo is
anymore.
not a bank.
It's so interesting you said about the ADD and ADHD because we were literally talking about this the other day where I have to, like with my clients, kind of like make sure that they're comfortable to open up to me about all different aspects of who they are as a person. And one of those things being possibly if you are ADD, ADHD, because that's going to make a difference in regards to like how we communicate. And then also like, for example, like if you're someone who has, you have a little bit of an issue as far as getting a list of things done, me just sending you a list of things to do, it's not the best way for that to be accomplished. So it's just
Yeah.
very interesting that you had brought that up because we literally just talked about it with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Making those accommodations for people who have whatever part of neurodivergence. I mean, I think in some aspect we're all neurodivergent, right? We all learn in our own particular way. But making sure that you're accommodating your clients who maybe instead of sending them the list of the items they need to do, you schedule a call and you do it together and you you walk through it together and check those boxes. So I think it's so important because that financial conversation is so intimate. So Charlie, what you're doing and making sure that people understand, you're a safe space, they can learn from you. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody's claiming to be. I mean, you clearly have a very specific point of view when it comes to your money story. And it's been all over the place, from scarcity mindset all the way to, hey, I'm helping other people manage their money and I can do this full time on my own and venture out and start my business. I mean, those are not small things. So I'm sure the people that you're working with are kind of seeing the light, right? In terms of, hey, I can do this and I don't have to be a day trader and I don't have to get a finance MBA in order to grow my wealth and make better choices so that my money works for me.
Yeah, and I, as somebody who still has not made more than 50K, like last year, I barely paid myself more as a business owner than I ever did at the 9 to 5. I paid myself like 46K just to stay under that tax bracket. But I'm just
Very
like, no,
strategic.
yes, if I can do this, so can you. If you can fully fund happy hour, you can fully fund your 401k, and that's just a big
Yes.
thing I see with a lot of my clients. They're making six figures, but still living paycheck to paycheck, and it's like the six-figure salary is not going to do anything for you. You're still going to work your ass off. It's not going to save you unless you invest that money. The point of making more is to invest more, not to buy more crap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't change your habits, it doesn't matter how much more money you make
Yeah.
Right.
because you're still going to have the same, quote unquote bad habits. I really also like that. So, like, I always tell people that, there's a reason why people have a negative association with financial services because the industry itself has done a terrible job in regards to how it helps people. And then also just overall, like I said, male, stale, and what is it? Male,
Pale.
pale,
Stale.
pale. But I like that it's now moving to a place where you have representation in all different aspects. Like I always tell people the number one thing if you're going to work with somebody with your money is to make sure that you feel comfortable with that person. And like I said, there's all different types of financial services people that work with all different communities. And I just love seeing that because, for example, like, the community that you work with, like, I don't have that perspective. So I can't put myself in that person's shoes and see through, that lens as far as the things that they've experienced. And it can be very helpful to have someone who has been in your shoes and, experience the same things that you've experienced.
But you do have clients who are part of the
I do.
LGBTQIA community, and we are a safe space, right? So, but I think that perspective of openly saying, I'm neurodivergent, I'm trans, I was undocumented. I mean, you're ticking a lot of boxes for people who might be coming into the space really scared to open up and talk to anybody. So, I mean, it's so wonderful that you're a resource for people who
Yeah.
need it.
I'm like, here's how I've been fucked over. So I got you, but that's not an excuse anymore, y'all. And I have had like imposter syndrome. When I first started my business, I did feel some type of way when a lot of Black women would come to me and I was like, oh my God, I'm not Black. I can't help them. Why are they coming to me? And it's like, no, they don't have
They're
to.
not
look
coming to you to get your hair
like
braided.
Yeah.
They're not like, lay this down for me, get my edges, boo. Like, that's not what this is,
Yeah, because I don't have any. This is me
Yeah.
going it out, okay? I feel like the Italian stallion. That's
I love it. Oh, it's so good.
but yeah, I've had to overcome that and be like, oh, okay, I'm here to help them with their money and I'm approachable and I make it fun and not make it about me and how, oh, but I just can't understand them on this level too. It's like not about that too, which I feel like a lot of people stop people from starting businesses because they have a fear of being to this or to that and they can't relate. Like when I started my business, I was like, oh, I might be too white for a lot of people. And thank God I didn't listen to that imposter syndrome in my head and just like popped off and went off and was just like, yeah, I have white privilege, but also this has been fucked over.
Yeah. And you clearly speak fluent Spanish. Do you, because I know Brandon works with a couple of people whose parents are Hispanic, and there's like a little bit of things are getting lost in translation. And so the children will come on to help with translating because, again, like, and we talk about it all the time, the finance lingo, right? The abbreviations, everything's an acronym. I mean, it's hard to understand, let alone you get into loan terms and conditions. And I mean, it's a lot. So are you also coaching in Spanish to help people who might have a language barrier?
No, I insert some Spanglish in there. Like one time I had a client and we were talking about her boyfriend and we switched to Spanish so that he didn't understand what was going on because
Oh,
she was having some like money drama around him. She's an Aries and he has some other signs. So I was inserting, and we're all like, queers love astrology. And I'm like, listen, you have to stop losing your shit. You're Aries. I'm Aries rising. But like,
my gosh.
this is how you can approach that money conversation. So that's how
I love
Spanish has
that.
come in handy for me. And now they've been together. She just bought a house. So yeah, that's how I've subversively been like, let's talk about this in Spanish.
I think what
The
I
secret
noticed from like
language.
my experience was is that in those scenarios with the parents spoke English, and which I would say spoke English fine, obviously with an accent, maybe some words misplaced here and there, but spoke English fine. And they were trying to work with somebody in financial services, and I think the person in financial services was a white guy, and I think speaking English with an accent in some people's minds makes the person think that the other person is not as smart.
Hmm.
And so the way that they were interacting with the person was in a kind of like in a like talking down to them.
Yeah.
And I was
It's
like,
not a
yeah, I
good
was like, yeah, that's a
experience.
terrible experience.
Hmm.
And that's what I think I has happened when it comes to like having to translate and stuff. So it's more or less that not that I don't understand her, I want to make sure she understands me.
Hmm.
So it's like your English is fine, my Spanish is absent.
Non-existent. Yeah.
But I
But
do have
just
one.
making people feel comfortable and not
Yeah.
dismissing them because of an accent.
But say the one question I have, kind of like a personal question to ask in the sense of what are some of the things that you've experienced in a negative standpoint from a finance, like maybe some financial hurdles as being trans?
Being trans, financial hurdles. It's hard to me for me to think of them because everything's online and investing is so democratic where you just, as long as you understand the words, you just click buttons. There's not like voter suppression and things like that. Um, for me, being trans in my life is more of a hurdle when I'm trying to like get a haircut and I want to go to a barber. And I was just in Ireland and the signs on all the barber shops were like, this is for gentlemen and their sons. And that's why I've like grown out my hair kind of because I just don't want to deal with going to a barber shop because I've been in some like queer friendly cities and I've been turned away because they're just like, no, we only cut hair for men. I'm like, okay, so
What?
I need to have a dick to get a haircut. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So,
Is hair not hair?
yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. And this happened in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, which is a very gay friendly city and stuff.
Yes.
And it was a gay male barber who told me this too. So that's why like transphobia can be alive and well even within like gay spaces. Being gay does not mean you're queer and inclusive, especially with the gay male community. Yeah, it was very divided when I was there. It was like that's the spaces for the gay men, and this is where all the other trans, queer, assigned female at birth, like everybody else, like would hang out together. It was very segregated and divided. But in terms of being trans, I think it's the family estrangement for me where I'm just like I don't have anybody to fall back on. Yes, I've chosen family, and I've had friends who I've had to be able to crash with in my 20s to save money on rent, but I didn't want to be that friend in my 30s, 40s, 50s being like, can I sleep on your couch because I can't find a job right now. So that's more of my transness has influenced me getting it together and wanting to spread the word because I've had white people mostly be like, if you're so good at growing your money, why don't you just invest it for yourself? And I'm like, because I'm not a selfish ass person. Like, I want other people to benefit as well. It's not about me.
Let's talk about the life that you're building because you are all over. I love following you on Instagram. You're always in a different country, different city. I remember vividly the place in Seattle, I think it was, because it was gorgeous. And I was like, Charlie, where are you living? I need to Airbnb this place myself. Oh my gosh. The windows, the views. So you are like, I mean, I know you have your coaching business, but you're also like, no, I'm going to travel the world and I'm going to see all the things I want to see. So my understanding is you're pet sitting in these places. So are you going where you want to go and then opening yourself up to pet sitting so that you have a place to stay? Or like walk us through the journey, because I think the way
Mhm.
you're living life right now is just really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago, I had to rehome my beloved cat, Luna, who I adopted in Thailand. And I brought her ass all the way over from Thailand to LA and then to Mexico. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
rehomed her. Girl is doing fine. She has a car now. I don't even have a car. She has a boyfriend. She's like living
Luna
her
is
best
living her
life.
best life.
Yeah, she's fine. I miss her dearly. But I rehomed her because life on the road was not for her. And I realized that I'm not done with traveling, especially as somebody with chronic health issues. Like the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, fuck, we need to travel the younger we are. Cause if I'm tired and getting overstimulated already, I can only imagine how bad this shit's gonna be when I'm 50 or 60. I will not wait until I'm retired to see the world. When I have
Yeah.
the creaky knees and the aching back, like it's only gonna be downhill from here, y'all.
Yeah.
But then I decided to I didn't pet sit right away because of the grief, and I felt like shit for rehoming her. I had to get over the guilt for months, but then once I got over that, a few months later, I decided to move to the Pacific Northwest to reset my nervous system and my inflammation because I'd been living by the beach, going to hot ass places for the past 4 years, going from Thailand, Cambodia to Mexican beaches in the middle of winter time. And my health coach was like, you need to go someplace with a winter to reset because my hypothyroidism was so bad that I was so sensitive to the cold, and that made my
Mm.
inflammation worse. That after doing the health cleanse with her, I was like, okay, let me go to the most depressing winter, the Pacific Northwest, where it's cloudy, and
Yeah. Oh
see
my
what the
gosh.
fuck's up. How much did I heal? Because I'm a Virgo and I'm all or nothing. I'm like, let's see how good I fix this shit.
You're like, let me go to like knee depths of snow and really reset.
Yeah,
No thanks.
I'm good on
So
that one.
yeah, then the Pacific Northwest, the winters are actually kind of mild. It doesn't snow a lot. It doesn't stick. And I decided that since the rent was so ghetto, I'm talking like 2,500 just for a basic ass studio.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just see what'll happen if I pay for a trusted house sitters membership. It costs 120 bucks, and let me just see if I can pet sit while I look for a place or find something more affordable. And then since I was based there, it was a lot easier because the people on trusted house sitters, they want to know if you're based there. They'd rather have somebody who lives in the place than somebody flying over from Germany who might miss their flight and then fuck over their
Oh
pets.
yeah.
So that's why it was easy for me to get sits booked in Seattle. And then I was able to fly to Anchorage, Alaska, to pet sit for a queer couple there to see the Iditarod, and then pet sit in Portland. So I was like hopping around the Pacific Northwest. And then I assumed it would be the same now that I've been in Europe since April. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of the US for political and personal and mental health reasons. And then I was like, oh, let me just do the pet sitting thing in Europe. But I'll say it has been a challenge. It has not been as easy at all pet sitting because I'm not based anywhere. I'm going around. So I was like, let me fly to London and then see what's up. Maybe if I can put my location as London, it'll be easier. But by the time I'm in London and I've seen everything, I'm ready to move the fuck on.
And
But I have gotten only 3 pet sits confirmed the entire 3 months I've been here, and they're all through Facebook groups for my college alumni group. So at first I was kind of annoyed and pissed, but I was like, dude, you're just gonna have to spend more on Airbnbs. You've saved tens of thousands of dollars by pet sitting anyways. Like you'll be fine. Like all the
yeah.
rent you've saved will be able to go toward the Airbnbs. And I don't have an apartment. I'm not paying tens of thousands of dollars in rent back home. Like my Airbnb is still my rent, and I'm getting credit card points off that as well. So that's the worst case scenario. Um, and I think the universe threw this lesson at me of like, this is what money's for, baby. Like, budget for it. It's okay for you to increase your expenses. Don't get pissed off if things aren't going to work the same way here. And it has been
Hmm.
nice. Like, I know that I'm going to be pet sitting for 3 weeks in Brussels. So I have a skeleton of,
Ooh.
oh, by these dates, once a month, I know where I have to be. And then I cater the rest of my itinerary outside of that. But I have faced a lot of decision fatigue. It was a lot more overwhelming than I thought because it's so juicy being in Europe. There's so many amazing countries to go to, so much food to eat, so many prides going on. And I've had to ask ChatGTP to help me calm the fuck down and rein it in and be like, you bitch, you need to stay for 5 days in a place. Stop doing this like moving every
Oh,
2 days
yeah.
stuff.
No,
Like,
no, every 2 days is mm-mm.
We have definitely
yeah,
had the conversation about when or if and when, to leave the United States based upon kind of the trajectory it's going on right now.
yeah.
Because Jess and the kids have dual citizenship in Germany.
Oh,
So,
Mhm.
what you
so
do?
I'm
I know. I know. It's a conversation. I think it's, when you add the layer of kids and school and uprooting
Mm,
and it I think it becomes a little bit more difficult. I think if we didn't have kids, we would at least be like, yeah, let's go over there for 6 months and
mhm.
like check it out or feel
Yeah.
out the vibe. Where do we want to be? But it's definitely on the list. So how long are you going to be in Europe? What's the plan?
Till mid-July, only because I have a wedding to go to. That's like the only reason I'm going back to North America because I'm a good friend. So I'm flying straight to San Diego, and then I go to a wedding in Rosarito in Baja California, and then part of me just wants to come back to Italy and take Italian classes and spend the fall
Yes.
out here. I spent a month in the UK and then Ireland, Northern Ireland. I was like, this is cute. But now that I'm in Italy, I'm like, oh, this is my vibe. It's just so sunny and people are friendly. And I love how stimulating it is to hear a different language that kind of sounds like Spanish. So I'm like problem solving and trying to figure it out and like trying to remember some of the Italian I studied. So it's a lot more mentally stimulating for me being here
Yeah.
than in completely English speaking countries. I'm glad I went, but next time I'm flying the fuck out here directly.
Yeah, I've been to England several times, and I haven't really no desire to go back.
Well, in
No
Ireland too.
offense, but
Yeah.
unless like I'm a big soccer fan, so I'd go watch a Manchester United game. Outside of that, I'm good.
Yeah. Charlie, you've had quite the roller coaster and you are, building your life the way it makes sense for you and for you to feel good and have purpose. You're helping others. What does the future hold for you? What are you most excited about?
Trump not being president.
Okay, him aside. Yes, we'll retweet that. Yes.
We still got way too many
It's
years.
only been like 5 months, guys.
Not even.
I know, we're exhausted. I know.
Yeah, it's my little countdown. I'm like, okay, the term is
A long
48 months.
countdown. Oh my
9 out of
gosh.
48 months. Like,
The math is not good.
I do love it because we post this on like YouTube as well, and anytime we get into political stuff, you get the trolls and stuff like that. So it's
They'll
always
be
funny to
like, we
me.
loved this until you got political. And we're like, great, money is political. If you don't
yeah,
understand that by now, like, we are not for you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say in Europe, it's nice. No one asked me if I voted for Trump or not because I'm so queer. I'm so fucking like gay that people know I'm on the left. Like, unless you're blind.
Oh my gosh.
Um, but I'm excited about my health being good because a year ago I went through my health crisis where I had the worst inflammation, eczema flare up of my life after being on steroid creams for decades. And the steroid creams stopped working, and my dermatologist wanted to put me on immunosuppressants, and the doctors didn't know what was going on. I had multiple bacterial infections. My I had a leaky gut. I didn't understand what was going on, and none of these Western health professionals could help me a lot. So I hired two health coaches, realized I was like almost pre diabetic because I had insulin and sugar absorption issues I had no idea about. And yeah, the hypothyroidism, which was what making me go to all these hot ass places, making my inflammation worse. So I'm really proud of myself for investing a lot of fucking money. It was not cheap. Hiring all these health coaches and shopping organic in the US isn't cheap, but I'm so happy that I invested in myself because you can have a pop in 401k, a six-figure salary, but if you're not healthy, none of that matters. And today, for the first time after a year of not going swimming in the ocean, I was finally able to swim in the ocean, and it felt so nice to not have my face hurt or be in pain or have to apply cream right after. I was like, okay, the glow up was. It took a long time for me to naturally heal and purge all the crap and detox, but now I can have pizza. I've stopped drinking alcohol because the headaches aren't worth it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had to be good about my health habits. I've had to stop drinking coffee first thing in the morning, but it's been worth it. So I'm excited to be able to get back on track to traveling because I couldn't look away. My health issues were so bad, and I love sharing it because I know it resonates with a lot of people. As a highly sensitive person, I was angry at my body. I was like, these fucking 70-year-olds can drink 10 beers and not feel a thing. Why me? Why me? And I was like, oh, they probably just have like chronic headaches or IBS or other things. It's not like your immune system manifests in different ways. It looks different for different people. And I think that if I'd had chronic pain, I would have waited even longer. It was the eczema and my skin being so bad. And the Mexicans, they have no filter. They'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with your skin? Your skin looks burned. What the fuck? Every day I'd go to like the grocery store and they'd be like, oh, your skin looks better today. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I think for that reason, because my chronic illness is such a front facing thing, I finally decided to do something about it, but it took 33 years for this to happen. So I'm excited to be able to see the world taking care of my health and living that slower life. And honestly, there's a lot of slow days out here. I've been in southern Italy for 5 days and I've only taken like one day to see everything, but I've had to be okay with that and laying low and resting a lot more than in my 20s. It's a lot about compromise because this is the long term. This is my life. I'm not here for a 2-week vacation. So why would I pressure myself to, like, in Spanish, we say sacarle el jugo, like squeeze the juice out of everything. I don't have to do that anymore, but that's a lot of scarcity that I have to remind myself of, that a lot of my clients deal with, is letting go of that scarcity of like, oh, we got to do this all now. It's like,
Well, that hustle culture too, that I think is so toxic in the US, whereas in Europe, I mean, yeah, you'll sit on a Sunday and have a 4-hour breakfast or brunch or coffee, coffee meeting with a friend, or it's just such a, like, no, we're here to enjoy life, not just work ourselves to death. So it's nice that you get to experience that more regularly. If you could leave our listeners with a piece of advice, money, life, finance, growth, investing, whatever you want it to be, what would you say?
Stop asking people for advice whose like money lives don't reflect what you want yours to look like. Like the stock market crashed a few weeks ago and everybody was posting on Facebook groups asking other people who didn't understand what the fuck they were doing, what they should do. And now that the stock market's fully recovered, it's so quiet now. And it's like, this is going to keep happening, y'all. The stock market was designed to crash, always has, always will. So get it together and hire like a coach, a financial professional to guide you. And you're at this level of building wealth, you can't afford not to invest in your money and your growth so that you stop stressing out every time the stock market crashes. It's really clear. I think being money coaches, you can see like we were nervous and stuff. We were seeing the stock market crash, but I think I was nervous because I was like, fuck, this is going to affect a lot of people. I was worried about my finances. I was just worried about how this was going to emotionally take a toll on people. But once you understand how it works, you can like separate yourself. And that's why we do what we do, to calm people the fuck down about money at the end of the day and enjoy their lives.
Yeah.
I have those conversations all the time, and setting them up for, I think really what it is important is framing it for them, and so that they have a very, very good understanding as far as how the stock market works. Like you said, like it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Most of my clients are around my age. So I was like, a lot of the money that you're looking to use, you're not going to use for another 20 years. This is going to happen so many more times.
Yeah.
You just got to
don't panic.
Don't worry about it. Just got to understand. And like, also take the opportunity, and really explain to them like what the opportunity can be when the stock market does crash for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Speaking my language.
Charlie, where can our listeners find you if they want to connect and follow your journey?
You can follow my Italian traveling saga on Instagram. By the time this drops, I'll probably be in New Zealand. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm at Traveler Charlie on Instagram. My podcast is called Unicorn Millionaire, and I have a blog called unicornmillionaire.com. So you can check me out there. And I offer 6-month money coaching programs all the time for people wanting to get their money right. And I sometimes offer one-off calls. I like to call them Dom sessions. So you can Dom your money instead of the other way around.
I love it. We will make sure to link all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much, Charlie, for being with us today. We appreciate you so much.
Yay, thank you. And let's get you to Germany.
Yes.
Sugar Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money.